Good morning, students. I hope you all are well. This is your economics teacher Lakshmi Vyas, and I am here today to explain part 2 of chapter Collection, Organization, and Presentation of Data. This is the second part, and today we will complete this chapter. So let's start. First of all, let us see what we are going to discuss today, which is the area of discussion. Here we have two parts: organization of data and presentation of data. Organization will include variable and types of variable, and presentation will include three different forms of presentation, which is tabular presentation, diagrammatic presentation, and graphical presentation. Each one of them will include different forms of presentations. So let's start with the organization of data. Organization of data means arrangement of data in a particular form which is suitable, and that is done through classification and tabulation. Classification means grouping the data into various classes according to some common feature, and when the data is classified, after that we can present it in different forms. We can arrange them in table form, we can arrange them in graphs, and then we can form the pictures or diagrams as well. So organization includes all these parts. As we have discussed raw data and ordered data, so after collecting a raw data, we order the data, we arrange the data, and that is called organization of data. So moving to the next part, that is variable. Now the term variable will be very frequently used in statistics. So what does this variable mean? Variable means the characteristics which can be measured and expressed in terms of number or quantitative form, and which can change its value for different items. For example, height. Height is a variable which is varied from person to person. On the other hand, there are many kinds of variable which we can measure in terms of numbers. Now, here in statistics, we have two forms and two types of variable. Very first is discrete variable, and the second one is continuous variable. Discrete variable means those variable which take only integral values, means the numbers are in integers, no fractions, no decimals are included in discrete variable. Like the number of students in class, it can be either 30 or 31. There cannot be 31.5 students in the class. So all the variables which have integral values or discrete value only, which is the exact value, they are called discrete variables. On the other hand, there are some other variables which can take any numerical value which is integral or fractional, then they are called continuous variable. As I have given the example, height of a student in a class. Height can be 5 feet 3 inches, or 5 feet 1 inches, or 6 feet. So there can be whole numbers, there can be decimals, there can be fractions. So that kind of a variable is called continuous variable. And in data collection and data analysis, sometimes we have the only value of variable in whole numbers, and when we have the variable in a particular range like 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, that kind of data is called continuous variable. We will use different forms of variable in calculation of statistical values. So let's start the second part. Presentation of data. Yes, the data which we collect can be organized in many ways, and the organized data can be presented in different forms. Here you can see a flow chart which shows what are the different types of data presentation we are going to discuss. The very first is tabular presentation. Tabular, as the name suggests, data arranged in the form of tables, which include simple table and complex table. Secondly, diagrammatic presentation, which includes different forms of diagram that show our data in the diagrammatic way, like bar diagram, pie diagram, histogram, frequency polygon, or ogive curve. The last one is graphic presentation. Yes, graphical presentation is nothing but collection or presentation of data in the form of a graph paper. When we put the values on a graph paper, we get different kinds of presentation, and that is time series or frequency line graph. So we will discuss each one of them differently and individually. So basically we need to know presentation means various way by which the data illustrated so that they can be easily and clearly understood and analyzed. So let's start our presentation with the very first form, which is tabular form. Yes, tabular form. So a table in statistics is systematic organization of data in rows and columns. Rows are the horizontal values, columns are the vertical divisions. So rows and columns form different types of table, and in that table we can represent our data, and that is how it is called tabular presentation. Two types of tables we are supposed to discuss here. The very first is simple table, the second one is complex table. Simple table. Simple table means a table which presents data relating to only one characteristic of the data. For example, a simple table is given here on the screen, which shows the number of handicapped students appearing for class 12 examination of CBSE in the year 1997 to 2002. So this table shows two columns. The very first is the year of examination, and the second shows the number of handicapped students appeared in each particular year from 97 to 2002. So this kind of a table is called simple table, where only one variable is there and only one characteristics is being depicted in the table. On the other hand, we can see the same kind of information in a complex table. How? Here we go. So a complex table shows, see, the same related data is given, but what we have done here, the number of students are divided into various categories on the basis of the nature of handicap, sex of the handicapped students, etc. Here you can see the number of handicapped students was given 136 in 1997 in our simple table, and here that 136 has been divided into male and female, where 105 male students and 31 female students are there. So in that way we made a simple table to a complex table where more than one characteristics related to that particular data is being presented on a table. So a complex table is a table which shows data related to two or more characteristics of that data. For example, here you can see different years, number of students. Among that we divided male and female differently. So this kind of a table is called complex table. So complex table and simple table are the two types of table under tabular presentation. Moving from the tabular presentation to the second form, which is called diagrammatic. Before going to diagrammatic, let us see a format of a table. Children, this format of a table is a 6-mark question for ISC students. A question can come, what are the different components of a table? In a standard form of table, what are the different parts that should be there? So here we see 9 parts are written here. The explanation of each one of this is given in the textbook very well. But whenever the question comes, you need to draw a table format, the one which is given over here in the screen. Yes, this kind of a format of table you need to draw, which is must. See, the very first part is table number, which is written in at the top of the table, number of the table. Then the title. So now 1, 2, 3, any number can be given to a particular table. When we write a particular note, then each table is having a number. The first table is the first number. Then after certain pages, if again a table is used, then that becomes the second table in that way. And then the title of the table is very important, and the title must be written in bold at the top of the table, and it should be precise and not so long. Small and full information should be available in that. Then comes a head note. Head note gives the information about the units in the data, like lakhs, tons, etc. Or sometimes the period of study is also mentioned in any kind of head note. After that comes Stub head. Stub head means the title of the row. Here you can see a stub head is written. So what will be mentioned in our rows, the heading of that is called stub head. Then stub entries, that means the headings of the row is called stub headings or stub entries. Then comes caption. Caption means the heading of the column, yes, which you write on the top side, the very first row of the top, where it is written column heading. After that comes the body or cells of the table, where you put the entire information given in your table. Then comes footnote. Footnote are given as a supplementary information and for the clarification of the reader. Then comes the most important, source. Yes, when data given in a table are secondary data, the source of the data is given below the table. It gives the information about the name of the publication, year of the publication, reference, page numbers, etc. For example, the previous table which we discussed, the source was CBSE annual report of the particular year. So a source is always given whenever we have any table from the secondary data. So this kind of format of a table is required to be done. Each one of these 9 components of a table must be prepared very well for a long question. Moving to diagrammatic representation. Now, here we have seen that tables are the one which we can use to represent our data. Not only table, we can make the representation much more eye-depicting, appealing to eye and interesting if we use diagrams. Yes, presentation of data in the form of geometric figures, pictures, maps or curves are known as diagrammatic presentation of data. Here we will discuss some important forms of diagrammatic representation, which include bar graph, pie diagram, histogram, frequency polygon and ogive. Let's start with the very first. Bar diagram. Bar diagram means a diagram where bars are included. What are bars? Bars means rectangles. Vertical rectangles are drawn and each heading, each length of the rectangle indicates the frequency of the variable. That means how many times the variable is occurring. Each length is different for different variables and that difference shows what is the size of the variable being measured. So let us see a simple bar diagram. Simple bar diagram means a single set of numerical data are being depicted through a bar diagram. Here you can see a table which shows an example. The example of food grains production in India between 2005-06 and 2014-15 in the form of a simple bar diagram. The table shows from 2008-9, 9-10, 10-11 to 14-15, the food grain production in million tons is given from 235 to 257 million tons. So in order to explain this, horizontal axis we always take the year. On the vertical axis we take different divisions of the food grain production, which is the frequency over here. Million tons will be the unit. And see here there are so many rectangles drawn and the height of each rectangle is different from one another. And that height basically shows the quantity of food grain produced in one particular year. See, the length of the bar in 2008-09 is up to 235 and it keeps on changing till 2014-15 where the height is around 257. So this data shows a single variable and it is called simple bar diagram. There can be another form of bar diagram as well, which is called multiple bar diagram. In multiple bar diagram, what happens? In one particular year, we measure more than one thing. For example, here you can see that in a particular year, birth rate and death rates are given. Birth rate and death rates are given for year 1951 to 60, 61 to 70, 71 to 80 and till 2011 to 2012. So in one particular year, which is drawn on the horizontal axis, we have two bars. The one which is light shade of blue, this shows the birth rate, and the second dark brown shade, that bar shows the death rate. So birth rate and death rate both are shown in each particular year. Different years are there. Birth rate is also decreasing, death rate is also decreasing, but the rates are different for different year. So one year, two informations are there, and that is why it is called multiple bar diagram. So a multiple bar diagram is drawn to represent more than one series which is interrelated in the form of data simultaneously. Means in one particular diagram we are showing two informations, and that is why it is called multiple bar diagram. The second form of diagrammatic presentation which is important is pie diagram. Pie, as the name, pie is circular usually, so pie diagram is also in the form of a circle. Pie is used to show the share of different components of a series in the total with the help of a circle. Most of the time, whenever you will get a data in the form of percentage way, you will get to use the pie diagram. This pie diagram is shown in an example as well. Here in the example we can see the monthly expenditure of a family is given, and different items are given: food, clothing, rent, education and other items. Food, the value is from 50, 20, 15, 5 and 10. On the other hand, percentage share of expenditures is also given. Now, using this we can form a pie diagram. First of all, in order to draw a pie diagram, we need to make a table. Yes, making this table is equally important as the diagram. If you do not make the table and only draw the diagram, you won't get any mark. If you make the table correctly and there is small mistake in your diagram, then also some step marking can be there. So be very careful to draw the table. Now what we need to draw in the table? In the table, see again the item and the share is written. Here the share is given in already percentage form. If it is not given in percent form, we have to convert the share in percent form. Simple, dividing the value with the total, multiplying by 100 will give us the percentage share. Now each percent, we all know that at the center of a circle the angle is 360 degree, and so the total percentage is always 100%. We have to divide the 100% into 360 degree. So how will we do that? 360 degree equal to 100%. So 1 degree equal to 3.6. So each of this percentage is required to be multiplied with 3.6 to get their angle value. So 50 into 3.6 is 180. 20 into 3.6 is 72, and in that way automatically we will get total 360 degree. Now we need to draw a pie diagram. To draw a pie diagram, first of all we need to draw a circle of any radius, then mark the center and join with the axis. Keeping that point as the center, make the first angle which is given 180 degree. Then the second angle is to be drawn keeping the angle of the first one as the base one. In that way we will form different angles given over here in the same figure, and automatically we will get our pie diagram. This is the way we can draw a pie diagram, and this is the most important form of diagram used to represent the percentage or the division or the share of the total data into different components. Next is histogram. Yes, histogram also is a type of bar diagram, but here you can see the difference. The bars are not separated, rather they are joined, and so histograms are drawn only when the data is continuous. Yes, the series include class boundaries, not the class mark. If the class marks are given, we have to convert the class marks to class boundary. So when a grouped frequency distribution is represented graphically in the form of rectangles, the diagram is called histogram. Here you can see daily earnings in rupees is 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 100 and the last one 100 to 110. The corresponding number of workers are given. So again we will draw the same rectangles which we usually draw in our bar diagrams, but the rectangles will be joined because 60 to 70 will end up at 70 and 70 to 80 will start from the 70 itself. So they will be joined. In that way you can join different rectangles and draw them, and that figure which is obtained is called histogram. Histogram is also very important. Pie diagram and histogram are very important for ISC students. Keep the point in mind that histograms are only useful when we have grouped data. We must have grouped data. Moving to the next one, which is frequency polygon. Frequency polygon is a curve which is drawn using joining the midpoints of the top of each rectangle with that of the next rectangle in the histogram. Whenever we need to draw a frequency polygon, first of all we need to draw a histogram. Just now we have shown a histogram, the same figure I have used here. Now when we join the top middle point, for example here you can see the first rectangle is having a height, P is the midpoint of that. Then M is the midpoint of the second, N is the midpoint of the third. Now we need to join the middle points of each of this rectangle, and then at the end we will join them with the axis. Yes, then the curve, the polygon which we will get is called frequency polygon. The next one, which is the last diagrammatic representation, is ogive curve. Ogive curve is constructed by plotting cumulative frequency data in the form of a smooth curve. What is cumulative frequency? Cumulative frequency is the frequency obtained by sometime adding and sometime subtracting the corresponding frequencies. Less than type and more than type. Two types of cumulative frequencies are there. In order to calculate cumulative frequency less than type, we add the corresponding frequencies. In order to get the more than type, we subtract the corresponding frequencies and we get the cumulative frequencies. Here we can see both the types of ogive in the diagram. The first one is less than ogive. Here a table is given in which less than frequency and the number of students is given. Like less than 59 inches height, number of students 0. Less than 62, number of students 5. Since it is the less than, see here the number of students are continuously increasing, because less than 71 includes less than 68 as well, less than 65 means all the previous values are included in the last one. And similarly in less than 59 none of the value is there, so the value starts with 0. So when we plot these values on a graph paper or in diagrammatic form, the curve which we will get in a smooth way is called less than ogive. See in the diagram you can see on x-axis height is less than height is drawn, on y-axis number of students are drawn. For 59 it is 0, for 62 it is 5, for 65 it is 23, for 68 it is 65 and for 71 it is 92. When you join all these points, the smooth curve which we get is called less than ogive. Similarly, we can have a more than ogive. In more than ogive, the same informations are given. See here you can understand the difference in the table. More than 59 is 92, more than 62 is 87, and lastly more than 71 is 0. That means the values are continuously decreasing. This is because more than 59 includes all the values given below and more than 71 includes nothing. So more than cumulative frequencies are continuously decreasing, which we calculate through subtracting the each corresponding frequency. And when we plot these values here, the curve which we will get is called more than ogive. Here you can see in the diagram 59 corresponding frequency is given as 92. Then 62 corresponding frequency is 87. In that way, lastly 71 corresponding frequency is 0. This means the ogive value, the corresponding frequencies which are more than cumulative frequency are continuously decreasing. Joining these points smoothly with free hand, the curve which we get is called more than ogive. So we have two types of ogive, less than ogive and more than ogive. Name is just related with the cumulative frequency used. If we use less than cumulative frequency, the name will be less than ogive. If we use more than cumulative frequency, the curve will be called more than ogive curve. So here we complete our diagrammatic representation. The last form of representation which we are going to discuss today is graphical presentation. Yes, we put the points on graphs, and the curves and the pictures which we get is called graphical presentation. When data are presented on graphs, it is known as graphical presentation. In our syllabus, we have two types of graph. The very first is time series graph. The second one is frequency line graph. Time series graph. Let us discuss the very first. Time series. As the name suggests, it is related to time. Now, when the value of one or more variables are shown with respect to some time period on a graph paper, it is called time series graph. Here I have shown in the diagram a one variable time series graph. It can be more than one variable as well. See, the table given is year 1951 to 2011 and the population in crores is given for India. If I put these corresponding points on a graph paper, an upward rising curve is drawn, and that curve shows that population is being increasing since last 1951 to 2011, and the points which we draw here depicts the information. Now in the diagram, one difference is there, and that is a kink is being shown in both the axes near origin. It starts with origin, then comes a kink, and then 1951, then 61, then 71 is there. This kink shows that we are not starting from the origin. After origin, we are keeping a gap, and that gap is being shown with the help of this kink. Similarly, on the vertical axis also, from 0 to 36, all the values are not shown. There is again a kink which shows that it is not continuous. This curve is called time series graph. One variable time series graph. If on the same years I put the informations like birth rate and death rate. Same years, birth rate curve will be there, death rate curve will be there. Then the curves will show two variables, so it will be two variable time series graph. So time series graph can be one variable, or it can be two variable or more than two variables as well. The last diagram which we are going to discuss here is frequency line graph. Frequency line graph. This is used in case of discrete frequency distribution. For example, here we have shown marks obtained and the number of students. Marks obtained by students is starting from 40 till 80. And the number of students who are receiving these marks are also shown. Now, when we need to draw frequency line graph, we draw a straight line on each particular mark variable value, and the length of the line is equal to the frequency. For example, in the picture you can see the marks obtained 40 is having length up to 5 because 5 students have scored marks 40. Similarly, marks obtained was 45 for 15 students. So the length of line is till 15 for marks 45. The length of line is 20 for marks 50. For marks 55 and 60, both the length of the frequency line is till 30, because both of them, number of students who scored for 55 and 60, both are 30, so their length is equal. In that way, from 40 to 80 we can see different frequency lines drawn, and the height of each particular line is equal to the length of the frequency. So here the frequency is number of students, so the last one, which is 80, so 80 marks was scored by 6 students, so that frequency line is having a height till 6 units. So this is it. All the diagrams and graphs are explained for the day. Thank you, students. Here we complete our second chapter of statistics. The very first was introduction of statistics. The second one, organization, collection and representation of data, is also done. Next we will move to the calculations, which is central tendency and then dispersion. These are the parts which we are going to discuss in our next videos. Do the work. I have given some quiz as well. Solve the quiz along with this. Respond quickly. Go through the books. Complete your chapter preparation as soon as possible. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Thank you.